I'm Joyce with Johnson Plastics Plus. I'm here today to introduce you to the Roland BN220 and to show you how you can add perf cuts and cut contours to stickers and decals to expand your business into that area. So what is a perf cut? Let's talk about that real quick. Simply put, perf cut is a line around a sticker or decal that means it's been slightly perforated using a long swipe and then a small perf that keeps the sticker connected to the main piece of vinyl. So your individuals can go ahead and pull these right out of this. Super simple. It means that you don't have somebody in your shop laboring to cut each one of these out individually. Perf cuts are best if the corners are rounded, just simply so then you don't have any pulling or tugging on the vinyl. And the important thing with the perf to remember is you're going through 2 layers of material, both your vinyl and your transfer material, so a sharp blade is very important. Now I want to take you through a few features of the BN2 that I think are really cool. To start with, the storage. There are 2 storage compartments on either side that allows you to store your extra inks or any other consumables that you need for this machine. Second feature is access. You can easily open this top compartment here to access your inks and open your top compartment on this side to access your print head. You can also open here to go ahead and maneuver your paper and your paper holders right into place. Also notice that this is a front load machine, so your paper loads right here in the front. No more running around to the back of a machine. The BN2 comes in both a 4 and a 5 channel machine. That extra channel on the 5 channel is for white ink that allows you to print on clear materials. The last feature I want to point out is the speed of the print head. It goes across this paper really quickly, so that way then you can save a lot of time and manual labor in your shop. Now it's time to head over to the software so I can show you how to lay out your cut contour lines and your perf cut lines for your designs. We're ready to set up our perf cut lines and our contour cut lines. The Roland BN2 comes with a software design program called Flexi Designer. We're going to go ahead and open that program. This already has the design elements that you need for the perf cuts and the cut contours, and it's very user-friendly. So to start with, I have my workspace here. I'm going to go ahead and import my image in that I want to work with. Come over here to my file and then go to import. Now I can find the image I want to work with. In this case, we're going to grab this sticker. I'm importing this as PNG. I'm going to bring it in here. So now I have my sticker here on my workspace. I'm going to go ahead and select it, and the first thing I'm going to actually add is my cut contour. By doing that, I just need to select my artwork, come up to the effects button here at the top, click on that, select cut contour. This automatically starts to add a cut contour line. I'm going to zoom in so it's a little easier to see. You can see right now it's just a light gray line. We're going to actually change that by selecting my color here in the design center. And I just need to scroll down here to cut contour. It's a very bright magenta that is coded into these machines so that it references it as a cut contour line. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more of an outline here, so that way then my entire sticker is cut contoured around the outside of it and not grabbing these little tiny spots inside this letter. All right, and then all you have to do to set that cut contour line up is hit apply. Click on that. So now I have my hot pink, my magenta cut contour line here around my sticker. So now I need to add my white. Since this is going to go on clear material, I need to add an underlayment of white. So to do that, I just have to go ahead and again select my entire design here, come up to my effects button up here again, and I'm going to find the underbase. Underbase comes in 2 options, either solid or variable. In this selection, I'm going to go with solid. And over here under Design Center, it's going to ask me if I want to have it as a white primer, cut contour, or perf cut. I want to go ahead and add that white layer. And I'm going to go ahead again and check the apply box. Now I've got this gray here. that is where all of the white is going to be when I go ahead and print this on my machine. Now we're going to add a perf cut. So adding the perf cut is pretty simple in this case because I do want this to be just kind of a square. So I'm going to take the square tool here, draw a square with rounded corners. I'm going to click wireframe so it becomes just the outline. And then I'm going to select my color and I'm going to come down here to perf cut contour gray. And I'm going to select that, and now I have my perf cut. So my perf cut is here on the outside, my white layer is this light gray here, and my magenta is my cut contour line. Now there's a cool function here where I can actually just grab all of this and send it by clicking this blue printer here, sending it directly to the BN2. Or I can export it so that it can go into the VersaWorks software. So in order to export it, I am going to actually add a margin to it. In order to add a margin, so that way then I make sure that everything I just created is sent out to VersaWorks, I'm going to just draw another box around it. I'm going to wireframe it, and I'm going to turn that box white. So now when I select everything that's here, you should see this red line here, that's my margin, my perf cut, my cut contour, and my white layer. I can go up here to arrange, and I can actually group these together. That way, if I wanted to move this around the page, it would all move together. Now I'm ready to export. I'm going to go ahead and select everything, go up to File, go to Export, click on Export. I'm going to go ahead and title it, save it, and open the VersaWorks program. So the VersaWorks program also comes with the Roland BN2. And right here is my Roland BN2. It shows that it is ready to print. And then I have different queues where I can load my jobs in. So I'm going to load my job that I just created into queue A. I'll go ahead and process the job coming in. And there are three things I immediately want to look for. Here under special items, there are three icons. If you hover over them, they're going to indicate what they're referencing. This first one is normal cut, also known as cut contour. Second one is perforated cut, also known as perf cut. And white, WH, which stands for white ink. So that shows that I brought the right tools in from Flexi into VersaWorks. Now I've got to set up my job a little bit further. So in order to do that, I'm going to double click on the Camping Cut sticker. That opens it up in the layout feature. So this is how I can say, hey, I want my sticker to be maybe a little bit larger. So I can go ahead and increase it. I'm going to go ahead and make this a 4-inch sticker. Make it just a little bit bigger. You can also increase it by percentage. So maybe I want it to be 115%. So now I have that increase by percentage. Now, if I select it, you can see these dancing lines around it. There's red dancing ants and gray dancing ants. That is referencing that cut contour and that perf cut line. Now I'm going to do a couple of these, but I do need to get my media width so I can know how many of these I need to get. So we're going to click media width. That's going to take a reading from the roll that's loaded into your BN2. So in instance here, my roll is set up at 18.39 inches. So I can actually do 4 of these, and I'm going to go ahead and center it on my media. Now I need to go through a couple further settings. So if I'm going to come down to quality, I need to set my media type. Media type in this case is going to be generic clear film. And then I have options here for print quality. I can go for high quality, standard, or high speed. And there are time estimates for each one. But I have to remember something. Because I'm doing clear film here and white ink, I need to change my mode. So my mode down here is whether my ink comes down CMYK or white and then CMYK, or then CMYK and white. In this instance, we're going to use white and then CMYK. So I'm going to select that, and you should notice that these times changed. Now, if you were to change from standard to high quality, you would need to again select your mode from white to CMYK. And again, notice the time change. I'm going to go ahead and leave it on standard. All right, so I won't need to do anything with color adjustment. I do check my file format just because I'm looking for a couple things here. Again, I want to make sure my perf cut is all the way around my image. I want to make sure my cut contour is all the way around. And this pink line here, this means I have a white layer enabled there. Now I'm going to go to my printer controls. I want this sheet to cut on the machine after it's done printing, so I'm going to select that box, and then I'm going to come to my cut controls. So my cut controls for perforated cuts is really important. This perforation length reflects how long your lawn slice is when you're doing a perf cut. The longer this is, the less perfs you'll have around your design. The perforation force is the force it takes to get all the way through both layers of the material. The half cut length is going to be that little tiny perf that is what's holding your sticker or your decal to the main material. You don't want to go much below that 0.039 spot. All right, so now that those are all set up, we don't have to worry about anything else in our settings. We can just hit OK, and our job is loaded. And you'll see here in your queue the 4 stickers that are set up. At this point, I'm ready to print. So all I have to do is go ahead and right click, come down to print, and send my job to the BN2. Now that my job is printing, I do want to mention that as it starts to print, it's going to roll out about 2 to 4 inches of extra material. That is really important. It helps hold the tension across the front of the machine, so that way when you're doing your cut contours and your perf cut lines, it doesn't bubble up the material and potentially ruin your sticker or your decal. There's a couple other general settings I want to go ahead and talk about while we're here. I want to bring your attention to the BN2 utility. It's here with DG Connect. So for example, we can go ahead and open it. Mine is already open down here. This is going to give you an indication of where all of your ink levels are at, the temperature for your printer heater and dryer. There also are individual settings in here. If you click these 3 lines here on the right hand side of the screen, you're going to go ahead and get some settings. Right now, since a job is running, a lot of these are grayed out. You would need to change them when a job is not running, but we can go in, and the biggest one I want to draw attention to is actually further down here. It's called dry after printing. This is where if your prints or your stickers are coming out slightly tacky or the ink doesn't feel like it's completely dried, add some drying time. EcoSolvent ink is cured by going over heat, and sometimes because you're doing multiple layers of ink in one job, you might need just a little bit more time to get it fully dry. You can also come in here and look at your media management. So these are all the different options for media that we have added to this machine. Any material that you can fit, you can add in. There are limitations to thickness and force to be able to go through something. We do not recommend magnetic material since the machine is metal. In this instance, we're using our clear calendar vinyl. We also have gloss and matte calendar vinyl available on our website. So one thing I do want to talk through is designs and best practices, basically, when it comes to creating a sticker. So it depends on what type of artwork you want to work with, but it is important to remember that very fine lines are going to be very hard to capture. So that blade has an offset on it where it needs to be able to travel. And if your artwork is too thin, then your offset's going to have a challenge. So I'm going to give an example of a couple different pieces of artwork that we're going to go through. So for example, we're going to look at the record store here. And this artwork is kind of a big box, but it's also kind of tiny. So I'm going to go ahead and just make it larger by saying it's going to be 9 inches. We're going to make it a little bit bigger here. Open it up. So this one's going to be pretty easy to add something like a cut contour to, because it's just going to go right around the outside of it. What I'm going to do is I can make my cut contour either go further out, or I can make it negative and I can take it inside my design. So depending on your artwork, you may want to play with this to get the best settings for that artwork. Another piece of artwork I could bring in to show as an example of this. This sticker has some pretty sharp points on it here. We're going to again make this one a little bit bigger so it's a little easier to see. Got pretty sharp points and then an indent here. So again, this one, you could have a problem with your machine getting caught on one of the points. So when you're doing a cut contour line, you want to make sure that you're getting, there you go. You can either do it as an offset here or as an inset but you want to make sure that you're setting it up so that you can minimize the sharp points or sharp turns that your blade needs to make. I am going to show one more thing with perf cuts here. We're going to add perf cuts, but we're going to add it as a shape. So we can add a perf cut here as a circle. So I can size this circle down so it's a little bit closer to my design. So you don't always have a rectangle or anything like that. Your perf cut can be a shape like a circle or a rounded corner rectangle, or depending on your design, you can go ahead and actually have a cut contour that follows the outside of the design. You just, again, want to avoid those sharp corners or any harsh turns. So here, this would be a great example of doing a circle as your sticker. If you wanted to do something that followed a perf cut that followed the design, we could come here. We're going to open up our record stores again. Bring this one in. Go ahead and open this one up to 9 inches again so it's easier to see. So now when I'm going to set my perf cut, I'm going to do something a little bit different. To set a perf cut up on something that is a little bit bigger and a lot more rounded, I'm going to go ahead and bring in this record store and make it a little bit larger so it's easier to see. In order to set the perf cut up on here so that it's all the way around and follows the design, I'm going to go to Effects, I'm going to go to Cut Contour, but I'm going to change the color of it, and I'm going to change this a little bit. I'm going to have it go where it's on the outside here. So it's on the outside of our design, giving us a margin here around, and then I'm going to turn this color and I'm going to make it into a perf cut. And then I'm going to apply it to my design. So now when I print this, it's actually going to perf cut my record store hours all the way out. All right, now that our job has both printed, cut contoured, and perf cut, and we know now that we need to have a little bit more of an outline on our cut contour so we don't snag our letters, we can go ahead and cut these right out, and look how easily they come right out of the material. Thanks for watching. This is Joyce with Johnson Plastics Plus. If you are interested in the Roland BN2 or any of the products we talked about today, go ahead and head on over to the jpplus.com website. Thanks and have a great day.